It's a funnel. It is. I like to. I know a lot of people see it that way too. So that's not news. I look at it this way. Once you understand your marketplace, like I mentioned earlier, well enough, you've done your research, you've spoken to a lot of customers, and you get it. You get what's important. You get what's not. You get where they're coming from. You understand prospect sales, all that. What the competition is doing. Once you're there, meaning like you've been on the job for 12 months, the process I think should look like this. You hear an idea. Okay. And the reality is you're the first filter. You have to be. Okay. You gotta be there. I'm just used to getting way too many ideas that I will take them through a full research process. No, am I going to go talk with every idea to the advisory board, sales, prospects, the CEO, the CTO, the head of engineering? No, that I drown. Okay. It would never happen. So it's me. I'm the very first. I'm the top of the funnel. I very quickly think to myself, and I either ask myself like one of two questions that are related, but I either do it this way. I say to myself, here's the easiest one. I in my brain, as I usually know what my roadmap is. Like it's 5 big ideas, okay, and I have that in my head. Or if I don't remember, I go look it up. I pull it up, and I ask a simple question: is this idea better than any of those ideas? 80% of the time, 90% of the time, let's say 80. The answer is no. Stay the course, Jordan. Stay the course. Don't get distracted. This is clearly not. It's a good idea. Okay, right? And that's the world I often live in. Is I come across many, many, many good ideas that I would love to do, that I would build in a second if I had unlimited resources. Absolutely, tons of good ideas. How many of them I can do? About 1 out of every 10. So if you do the math, that means about 90% of the time I'm looking at the roadmap saying, no, this does not raise itself to that level of value. It is not one of those guys, and then it pretty much stops there. I mean, I got to be efficient. I'll create maybe like a quick and dirty, story in my tracking system just so it is tracked and the idea is out there. So it just is. It feels like the right thing to do, but it just stops and it's sitting somewhere in a bucket that I usually call for later consideration, which roughly translates to never going to happen. But that's just because I know my resource ratio. It's a good idea ratio, and it's just really, really, really rare that an idea that came up like 3 years ago all of a sudden gets done. But it does happen, and I'll tell you when. When it starts to be brought up all over again in the marketplace by people, by customers, and then that reinvigorates it. They re-ask about it. Or sales brings it up again. And then it's almost like, I start the process all over. I'm like, oh, wait, maybe things have changed. Maybe now that idea is worthy and has become a top 5 because more customers want it, or it's going to unlock opportunities for my sales team, or whatever the reason is. So what's the next step in the funnel? Once it gets by me and I say, interesting, and I look at the roadmap and I say, maybe, I would never make the unilateral call that it definitely is a top 5. No way. Okay, I'm not that brave. No, I don't want to take on that level of responsibility. And I don't want to be yelled at when I need research. I want to back it up that my gut is right. So what do? The next stage typically is I'll take it to my advisory board, usually about 8 clients per call, and I bounce it off of them. I see what they think. And one of the skills I've definitely developed over years and years and years of running advisory boards is reading between the lines of their passion for an idea when I ask them about it. So I quickly know if it should go any further. And what I mean by that is just like, I basically need to get the sense that they are almost up out of their chair saying, yes, I definitely want that. That is a major pain point. And then they tell me why. And we dig in. I need to feel that sense of urgency from them. And not just them saying, oh yeah, I definitely would want that. Believe it or not, that's meaningless to me. That is not the level of excitement I need, to know that it needs to go to the next level. So it's advisory board, and then it's even to the level of advisory board love, we'll call it that, and they better love it. And then the next level of that would be, I'm going to ask them to actually prioritize it. Where do they believe it belongs in the roadmap, if at all? And I usually do ask them that in the meeting itself. I'll say, do you believe this has potential to be a roadmap item? Is it possibly better? And just possibly, is it possibly better than some of the items that we're planning on working on over the next 6 months? And if enough of them say yes, then I'll take it to the level of offline. I'll ask them to say, oh, really? Okay, well, let's see where the proof in the pudding really exists. Where do you think it belongs on the roadmap? If it's so important, is it the new number 1, the new number 5, the new number 3? What are you thinking? Tell me. Quick survey. And now I get data out of it. Like I get data from them on what they're thinking, hard numbers, and that's kind of like the science of it. So that's another part of the funnel to like really getting like where in the priority stack it goes. But be careful. And this is, again, just one part of the funnel to getting it through to actually being on the roadmap. Just because, they say, oh, in aggregate, it's the new number 3. That's not the end of it. So there are other sources I'm going to go to continue the vetting. I'm definitely going to talk to sales about it. Okay. Can you sell it? Would you sell it? Would you be successful selling it? And even if they start saying, yes, 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 love it, want it, can totally sell it, I'll even take it to a next level of analysis eventually, before I finally put it on the roadmap, of going through an interesting exercise with sales, which is, okay, Jim, super duper awesome sales guy. Here's what it does. And I basically sell it to them the way I think they should sell it. And then I have them sell it back to me. I put them through a quick exercise of, you sell it to me. Literally, pretend I'm a customer. How would you describe what I just described to you? How would you I want you to literally hear how you do it, only to make sure they can. And believe it or not, I've every now and again come across these situations where great ideas that actually seemingly belong on the roadmap and to me make sense and we could, in my mind, can sell it, the sales team can't. They don't explain it right. It just doesn't process in their minds and come out of their mouths with the value prop that's necessary to actually get customers to buy it. And then we've been known every now and again, doesn't happen a lot, we don't do it. We don't build it. Because the worst thing you can do is build something that won't sell, right? So that does happen. You got to make sure that you have a sales function that is capable of selling what you're building and can articulate the value so they can get dollars and hopefully maximum dollars out of it. So that's part of the funnel, is just taking it to sales. And then engineering, of course, as well, because I want to understand the cost, of course, make sure it's not a, $1 million initiative, that this isn't, 2 teams for a year, of course. That's a big part of the funnel, but that's a big part of the ROI, right? That's the I part of the ROI. So if you don't know that, you don't know much. I don't know, there's a big challenge there. They hate giving estimates. They don't want to, and I just try to have to remind them over and over that this is not a timeline exercise. This is a costing exercise. And there's a huge difference. I just want to understand what it's going to cost, not when you can deliver it. So work with me and give me something so I can appreciate what the ballpark cost will be. And usually once they appreciate that, and it does take reminding them because they forget that from month to month when I ask them this question, they get it. And they're usually willing to play ball and give me, at least in terms of like, man months. That's usually the unit of measure I want to understand, because that'll give me a sense of cost in terms of both people, and I can also typically translate that to dollars if I want to do that. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, because I know what a fully loaded engineer will cost on a monthly basis. That's not a hard number to back into. So that's probably then close to the end of the funnel. And then it's just you prioritizing it. And where does it actually go? Once you vet it and everyone, you got a lot of data that says, yep, existing customers want it. Sales knows how to sell it. Sales is excited to sell it. And, of course, C-level buy-in, make sure that, they get it. But at that point, once you have all that data to back it up, they should be fairly on board. But here's the key kicker to that funneling process is a big part, and this isn't necessarily part of definitely part of the process. That's outside of the funnel, is making it very, 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 very clear to everyone in the company that by adding this to the roadmap, what this also means is this item has fallen off the roadmap and is no longer part of our short-term plans of delivery. It's not. It will not it's not on the roadmap. There's no more promise to get it done. Is everyone truly okay with that? And hopefully they are. Some people won't, and there'll be debate about, whoa, why can't we just do it? My favorite is this. Wait. Why can't we just do it all? Why does it have to fall off? And that's when I have to control myself from jumping across the table and choking the ever-living life out of them. But at the end of the day, I'm not a murderer, so I don't. But there are just people that don't just understand that it's fixed resources, which equals a zero-sum game, which means that if we add more work, we have to take off work to get things done in the same amount of time. That's just fact, okay? Not alternative facts. Fact. Okay, something has to come off if you're going to add something. It's an important part of the process to keep yourself out of trouble with especially your executives, your C-level folks, and everyone else too, and your customers, right? Because at that point, what you land up doing, whether officially or unofficially, is that will get socialized and should get socialized to the right, even maybe a few customers, because sometimes what happens is key account executives have indicated that previous number 5 was on the short-term roadmap, and they can sort of pseudo expect it this year, and now they can't, and now they shouldn't, and that needs to be socialized. And that is the proper way to socialize it, is to get real and say the new number 5 is something else. It's the previous number 4. Number 5 is no longer on our commitment list. Never use that phrase, by the way. Nothing's a commitment with customers if you can avoid it. Now, in the real world, sometimes you can't get away with that, but that just remember, I'm beating the dead horse on make sure you're honest about addition equals subtraction. You have to add something, then you have to take something off.